LoneStarGridiron.com. Access the complete history of Texas high school football, over 100 years of information, win-loss records, coaching histories, individual stats, records, and more. Lone Star Gridiron, the authority on Texas high school football.
All right, we're joined here with Vandegrift High School head coach Drew Sanders. Coach, you go introduce your 6 student athletes.
Yeah, these are my captains, and they were elected by their peers, and they're all seniors. This is Ian Whip, who plays nose guard, and just a phenomenal player for us, senior. And this is Deshaun Morgan. He plays defensive end, number 88. Okay, this is Brendan Fournier, number 4. He plays running back. This is Hollister Stevens. You hear me okay? Yes. Hollister Stevens plays dime for us, or safety. Sometimes people call it safety. This is Aiden Jones. Aiden is number 2. He plays really everything today, but mainly plays safety. But after the injury, he stepped up. And then, of course, Adam Scott, our Mike linebacker.
Coach, you start things off. Just your thoughts about the game this afternoon.
Well, I think the game encapsulates what this senior class and these guys are about. We're not the most flashy. I mean, I talked to Rick about this in our interview. We're not the most flashy, star-rated type team, but these guys just love each other. And then every single challenge this year, they just said yes to. And that's what I think about these guys. When they started with me their freshman year, they were one of the toughest classes we've ever had. I think they went like 8-2 or something like that, or I'm not quite sure. Is that you a 10-0? Okay, sorry guys. But these guys were just so tough. And so I'm just so proud of all of them. And I think that's where it starts. The mental toughness and the physical toughness is a great building block to get where we got. And then we had a ton of big wins against great opponents this year. And I think multiple times, down 14, down multiple scores. Tonight we were down 7-0. Did not look great early. They kind of jumped on us. But these guys are never, ever, ever going to not play hard. So that's what I think about this group and that game.
Question from the floor.
Coach Sanders, Vandegrift has been good for a very, very long time. But it was an elusive at one state championship. Do you feel like this victory today validates the entire football program?
I mean, it sure is a great start. People always talk about Lake Travis and Cedar Park and Westlake, and they always say, well, we're good. And so it's kind of nice to maybe be in the conversation. When I came to Vandegrift in 2009, that's a long time ago, there was a lot of people that was like, are you sure there's even room for another school to be successful? I remember multiple comments like that. And that's kind of hard to believe now, but I promise you those were said to me. And I kind of took that to heart, and we just slowly but surely continued to build this program the right way through our guys. All these guys here have been coming to my camps since they were 5 years old, and continue to build and continue to build. And it definitely validates when you can finally find a way to win that championship. At the same time, if we hadn't won, I can tell you I was okay with it, because I know how much I love these guys and how much they give. And so I kind of released it before the game to the Lord and said, God, whatever's going to happen. I'm just going to coach my butt off, and I'm glad to be with these guys, and fortunately we were able to win.
To the players, you guys are the first state football champions of Vandegrift. What does that mean to you, and has it set in yet?
It means so much to us, and all the guys before us that worked. There's obviously we're the group that got it done, but I still look up to all the seniors from years prior, and they were amazing. They helped me, they mentored me, and all of that fostered into this win that we got today.
And it was a little bit sweeter, because last year with all the talent that this group had, and even with the 10-0 regular season, everybody thought that last year was your year. But it's a little bit sweeter that this group could bounce back, lose the people you lost, and have that disappointment in the playoffs last year, and bounce back, and now here you are winning the state title this year.
Yeah, it was amazing. Last year was really unfortunate, but it shows that truly no one is invincible. The game we play can go any way at any point. So it felt amazing to be the group to get it done, absolutely. And all those guys last year truly did help us win today. And so we flipped a lot of starters last year. A lot of people ruled us out, but we listened to the voices in the building, and we just worked as hard as we could in the offseason, and the results showed on the field.
Coach, do you think that playoff loss last year ended up being a positive for this year coming in?
I think absolutely. I mean, you were not in the room when we were starting our off season, but it was. You guys remember, like everybody was upset, everybody was irritated, and we had a long off season. We had a lot of time to think about it, and we swore that we were going to work really hard to not let that happen again. That was the first time in Vandegrift history we ever lost in the first round. And so, you know, these guys took it to heart. In addition to, they took to heart all the comments about how many people that we graduated. We loved last year's class, but they happened to have a few more college players, and everybody thought that, you know, we would fall on our face and not necessarily do great this year, and maybe a first round exit again because we just didn't have supposedly the talent. But these guys have the talent where they're just going to care about each other, and that's one of their special talents. And you can see how close we were this whole year. A phenomenal year.
Over here on the side.
So, this is a quick question. Southlake Carroll was held to a season low 17 points. Can y'all tell me how y'all did that and what went into it?
Defensive guys.
I thought, you know, they only ran the ball 4 times in the first half, and D-line, Coach Griffin and Coach Mack emphasized it all week and really all year. Just like, we're the structure of our defense, and, you know, if we play good, if we push them back, we're going to hold them to a low score.
I would also say, you know, credit to the whole defense because we worked our tails off, like I said, since off season. You know, we didn't care about whose name was on the chest, how many state championships were won. We just knew as a family what we had to accomplish. We had to stop them up front, stop them on the back end. So we did what we had to do.
Brendan, I think one of the deciding factors in this game was 190-something to 50-something edge and rushing yards. You had a great game, but I thought the offensive line had dictated tenacity up front. So describe the running game today.
I'm extremely proud of our offensive line. You know, we had a lot of big, highly recruited offensive linemen last year. You know, Blake Frazier went to Michigan, but our offensive line is way shorter than last year. A bunch of people wrote them on. I'm just so proud of our guys for being able to come to the state championship and get great movement and be physical and move those guys to give me great running defense.
What about your game? I mean, this is obviously your best game ever under the circumstances. Talk about your input.
I was just focused on doing what we needed to do to win at that time. You know, Miles hurt his finger. We weren't throwing the ball as much. We needed to get gritty yards. Our defense was playing out of their mind, and you know we had to choose some clock, and we did what we had to do to win the football game. And that's all you have to do. So up front, right.
Drew, just speak of Miles. You know, I think he completed his first 11 passes and then 14 to 17 for like 270 yards or something. I mean, you already talked about him last week, but I mean, he was brilliant again today.
Yeah, I mean, his growth, you know, I was talking to the Statesman this past week about it. Like, we knew he'd be good, but we're even more pleased with how his growth this entire year. I mean, he's done a great job. He was one of the only underclassmen to talk at our meeting last night. Like, he's really done a great job of being a leader. In addition to taking hard coaching and continuing to get better and better in his growth from game 1 to game 16. It was tremendous. You got to see it. In the last 2 weeks, it was just on display. He's accurate as it gets. He escaped the pocket. He knows what play we're supposed to be in. Does a great job.
And then talk about that throw to Farley in the first half. How big was that?
It was nice because we needed that at that time. You know, I mean, it was exactly what we needed to answer back. And he's very, very accurate down the field too. That's a mark of an elite quarterback. Is, you know, a lot of guys can throw the shorter throws to the boundary, to the field hash, but not many can throw that deep ball like that. And so that's why he's an elite quarterback.
Marcel.
This is for anyone. Vandegrift had some really talented teams in the past, but this was the squad that was able to get it done. What's different about this year's team?
I feel like we just had like a really good bond. The thing about last year's team is we feel like they didn't have that great of a bond. So that was one of like our focuses in the offseason was to grow as a team together, not be in our separate cliques, and just be one big family.
For you, I mean, obviously they didn't score. What did it mean to stop them on that fourth down, like fourth quarter, what they're trying? They're at the 1 yard line, they don't score.
I mean, that was amazing. That just that shows the grit that we've played with all year. I mean, obviously that came on display at that point, but I mean, we've been doing that. We've been making stops inside the 1 through playoffs, through the regular season this whole year. And so what's amazing about that is it wasn't like some like, oh my gosh, we need to stop this the first time we've been here. We've been doing this all year. Coaches prepared us every single week to do and make those big plays that we ended up having to. But I mean, once we got off that field, it really started to set in that we have a very good chance to be state champion.
Heading into the game, I want you to know, what did we say? In our film session this morning, we talked about short yardage, didn't we?
Exactly.
We felt like heading into the game, we had the advantage. We didn't feel like they could knock us back because of these big guys in front, and that played itself out. And then a shout out to Aiden, had to come in and play a new position because H, one of our leading tacklers, or if not our leading tackler, got hurt. And had to play a different position he had to play, and he was all over trying to bracket 11, who's amazing from Southlake. And so, in the back.
Coach back here. Last week you kind of came out and got into a hole early. This week, almost the opposite. You get up big in the first half. How different was your halftime speech, and what kind of did you tell them to sort of, prepare for what was coming in that second half?
Man, there wasn't a ton of stuff at halftime. It was just like, you're doing great. Stay with the plan. We made a couple of tweaks on some of our double stuff to 11 because he was just so tremendous, and they kept going to him. And so that was a change, but offensively, we really felt like we had to get back to going straight ahead and running the ball, and we did that for the most part.
Adam, I was going to ask you, and also Nation, I'd like you to respond in just a second, but just, I think Coach touched on here just a minute ago. If you guys go back home, you guys are in an area where, you have a lot of state championships around your rivals right next to you guys, Lake Travis and Westlake. What's it going to be like now when you go back home and you see those chaparrals, you see those Cavalier teams say, hey, we can, we're part of the club now, we got one.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's amazing to be now in the talk to be like one of the best teams in Austin. I mean, Austin is a talent hotspot right now. I mean, there's so many great teams there. It just feels amazing to be one of them. It's fun to watch what Coach Sanders has built from like literally opening the school with Vandegrift to where we are now, winning a state championship. And I don't know, like 15 years later, it's really fun to watch. And I mean, it's amazing. All of this team, the culture, the whole thing around here is amazing. And I guarantee you, in future years, we'll be back here.
And I was also going to say, just like Adam, Austin is a talent hotspot. It's a big blessing for the whole team, all these coaches who put in the work over the years, all the teams before us who has came. And just to be known as one of those teams that, has won a state championship means the world to us. Because like we said before, previous teams we could win with 2. And this is all the more better. It's bittersweet when you do it with your homies.
Coach, I thought the 3rd and 9 play on that second to last drive that you guys got, maybe it was 3rd and 9.5 eventually, and you were able to kick the field goal. How big was that to kind of extend the drive and to take more time off the clock?
It was everything. At that point, they were playing really well. We were kind of in a funk offensively. It happens, right? Because everybody's kind of like, what's wrong? And it's really just like you're playing really good people. And so every yard is at a premium in a state championship. And so our ability to be accurate, make the play, and stay on the field and waste clock. You saw how it came down to literally the last second. And so all of that stuff factors in. Our game management factored. I thought we managed the clock well at the end. And so, yeah, it's huge, and you got to be able to throw to win, I think, in 6A, and we were able to do that.
Is this the best Christmas present you guys can have?
For sure. For sure for me.
You're an opposite culture guy. These guys are bought in, but what is the secret sauce to your culture that makes y'all kind of super special?
Well, I'd love to hear the guys' answers, but I think it starts from when they're very young and we start to teach them about what it means to be a Viper. The first thing is if you notice what's on this chest, and that's Matthew Vandegrift's name, and it starts with that. We'll never put Vipers on the front of a jersey, even though Vipers is a really cool mascot, because we play for a name. And if you don't know, Matthew Vandegrift sacrificed his life for his country April 21st, 2008. So that, from there, the entire structure of our thought process begins at Vandegrift. And so that's what true sacrifice looks like. Obviously, we're just playing football, so it's not to that level. I understand that. But we learn from that. And then we build from that. And it starts talking about, there are more important things than just me. And in this day and age, I think it's a really amazing thing to have a bunch of guys that actually believe that the big team part is actually more important. We had 0 issues. This year, we had multiple times where a receiver would have all kinds of catches, and one receiver would get nothing. And the next week it would flip. Never once did I meet with any receiver parents or receivers for that fact. All they were is cheering for their teammates, and that's absolute truth. It was phenomenal. I'd love to hear what you guys think is important in the culture.
Coach always says, like, great things can be accomplished when no one cares who gets the credit, and that's something that was huge on this team. I mean, we might not have had, like, the flashy Division I recruits, which, of course, we still do, but we, not trying to hate on y'all, but yeah, I mean, the whole team it was all about getting this medal. And we did that together. We knew we had the goal set. And that was just like the culture at Vandegrift. That's what it's always been. And it feels amazing to be the first team to get it done. Anybody else?
I mean, just our bond as a team has grown tremendously over the past year. You know, like you guys have said, we had a really long off season, and that really let us go from individual to group to team to family. And we really got there around spring ball. And then all throughout summer workouts, just busting our butts with each other through blood, sweat, and tears, just becoming as close as possible. And that's what really makes our team special.
But out front, there's one more.
Brennan, what makes George so good? What did you see out of him today?
He's a silent leader for us. He doesn't speak a lot, but he's one of those guys that just puts his head down and works a lot. He was a second string on a very talented wide receiver depth chart last year. He didn't get much playing time, and he didn't pout. He didn't complain. He waited his time. And this year, obviously, he's having a breakout season, and tonight he was phenomenal. And he's just a guy that can threaten you on all levels of the field. He's extremely fast. He's a deep threat, as you can see with that 8-yard receiving touchdown. So I think he's definitely an underrated prospect that some coaches should start looking at. Right?
Question? All right, thank you guys.
Hey, did you play Texas high school football? If you did, you're part of an elite group, the Brotherhood of Texas high school football. All football players, past and present, who have ever suited up in the Lone Star State are eligible. Go to LoneStarGridiron.com/brotherhood. And thank you for the part you played in the greatest sport in the greatest state.